Born in the heart of Wisconsin, where tradition runs deep and good stories start around a tailgate. Join your host, Eric Tasker, and former Major League pitcher Paul Wagner as they dive into hunting, fishing, conservation, and the great outdoors, and share the stories that come with it. Because out here, it's more than a pastime. It's a way of life. Everything outdoors, and the stories that make good memories. This is Tailgate Talk.
All right, so we're a little antsy this morning because we're cold AF. And me and Legs, I think I got here an hour ago, and we're still just kind of chatting through a bunch of things, talking about how miserable and cold it is. And here we are. It's negative 42 degrees outside. It doesn't even seem real.
So bad. So I was just telling Task this, that we got the barn, we put it up, and we like the outdoors so much. We got a fire pit, we got the chairs, and we like it. And I have a garage door in here because in this section that we've warmed up was going to be something a little bit different. We've turned it into pretty much a kitchen, TV room, games and stuff, so it doesn't freeze. But I was really disappointed because when I had a garage door. It was just so dark. It was like a cave. And if you can't see this as you're listening, but I'm pointing to you, like that window wasn't even there. So it was really just closed up. So I called a guy a few years ago, and I said, hey, I want to put a window there, and I want to put one of those glass garage doors.
Yeah.
And like I told you, he says, you do realize, Paul, that we are not down on St. Pete Beach. We're not on the water. You're not going to roll this thing up, and the sea's going to come in, and you're going to have cold cocktails and warm breeze.
Smell the salt in the air.
Yeah, he goes, it's going to get cold. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I like the light.
Right.
Now I'm not a vampire, so I like the light. Well, since then, this is probably the first time that I really realized how cold it is. When people tell you that windows let heat escape, it definitely is cold in here. It's definitely cold.
And it's not so bad because we've got heaters going and we've got our sweatshirts on, but we're on the glass door.
Right.
We're a foot and a half away from it. So a little draft, a little breeze, but either way.
It's cold.
Well, here we are. A fun start to the show. Paul Wagner, Eric Tasker. This is Tailgate Talk. So we thought we'd be out at Charisma Customs today. So we're kind of making a slight adjustment. There's a bunch of stuff for us to talk about. Charisma will probably be next week now. Just give them a quick mention on the front end of the show here before we jump into a bunch of stuff. But boy, I'll tell you, if you don't have a remote start right now, it is a game changer. And thank God that my truck plugs in and I've got a block heater on it and I've got all that stuff. But, I just went in there earlier this week, and boy, the number of calls that they're getting about getting a remote start, because you even think about it, it's not just a winter thing. It's also a summer thing where, you can easily, it could be 100 degrees outside, and you're like, well, it's going to be hotter than balls in the truck. Might as well just start it, get some airflow going, whatever. But just with everything, it's like the freezing door jams and just all of those different things that go into it. But charismacustoms.com, we'll have a bunch of different things and a bunch of questions to ask Chad next week while we're out there. And, if you don't have a remote start, I feel for you.
No, it's tough. It's tough. We were also talking about wildlife and how it affects wildlife.
Yeah.
And they got to hunker down. I saw it. It was kind of in an ironic way. Yesterday, I figured it was going to get really cold. And sometimes the weathermen sometimes they're hit or miss. They are. And I'm driving back from, I think I was north, and I come back, and the deer and the turkey were definitely out in fields.
Yeah.
They were picking through the snow. They were feeding up. And I've always learned, and I've always known that when those cold fronts come, and when it gets dire cold, even up in Canada, Saskatchewan, up in that area, the deer and the wildlife, food is first, and that is it. And then they look for shelter. So they always kind of give you a sign. And they were out in full force yesterday looking for food,
anything,
energy, and then to go hunker down. And with that being said, we were also talking to one of those guys last year. I think one of the guys who works with a lot of wildlife up there. And I ran into another guy over at the Canada show.
Oh, Canada show. Yeah.
I stopped in by Danny Durbin.
Yeah.
And went in there and talked to him. And I always thought that when you see those animals, even if it's livestock, you see something outside and it's got snow on their back or ice coming off of their fur and their jackets and stuff. And I always felt bad. And he said, no. He said that's telling you that their body's working good.
Right.
He says when we see it up north, up in Canada, with the deer, the elk, the moose, the bear, whenever you see that, and I never knew that, but when you see that even down here with cows and livestock, when you see snow and ice on the back, that means their bodies are working at full throttle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you see that and you think, they've got to be so cold.
Right.
But by me, we've got so much wildlife right over there. But I think it was 2 weeks maybe that we didn't see any deer at all. Maybe even longer than that, 3 weeks probably. And then all of a sudden, the front part of this week, I mean, we probably had 20 deer out there. But then you just, they're all getting back together again. They're all starting to huddle again. And they're all just kind of like doing their thing and trying to get into their quote-unquote off-season routine.
Right.
The pressure is really starting to come off of them, so they're able to kind of settle down in the woods and get out of the wind and do some of those things that they do the majority of the year, but it's just so cold. Yes. So they're looking for anything. They're trying to find food sources, and I don't know. I thought about
water. I'm wondering where to get the water. Yeah, I know that there's...
Because even having that out, it'll just freeze right away.
Yeah, and I know some of those... I mean, we're talking, minus 15 degrees with a real feel of minus 40. Some things just don't work.
Right.
I don't know if they're out there licking snowbanks and icicles and stuff like that, but I always wondered when it gets so cold where they get their water from. Obviously, food is important.
Right.
Staying warm, hiding behind the hinge cuts, hiding behind deadfalls, stuff like that. I know you want to bury themselves in there, but again, water is what everything needs to survive. And I'm wondering where they always find their water.
It was interesting. As I was driving over here, I almost stopped just to take a couple really cool pictures. So Lac La Belle, one big open, probably 50-foot radius was open just below the waterfall coming from Fowler. Yeah. And there had to have been 50 geese sitting on the edge of the ice. So they were all just right there. So now that's obviously a different story. They can find it because they're in the air. But the river is open. So they're probably getting their water source from right there.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, of course, the banks and some of that stuff are all frozen, but for the most part, they're probably that might be the only open water source. It wraps all the way around, so there's plenty of spots for them to go. But
and if water's moving, it won't freeze. You've always heard that.
Yeah,
you don't want your pipes to freeze up north. Always let a trickle of water go through you. But it just gets to that point where all of a sudden, maybe, hopefully, there's enough stream and steam going through there because. When you go over any open water, I wasn't sure. I was looking over on one of the rivers I was crossing.
Yeah.
And one of the creeks, I was looking to see if there was open water. And the only way I knew it is because there was so much steam coming up off of it.
Yeah.
It's got to be open over there.
It has to be.
Again, minimal areas.
Ooh.
Gosh.
Yeah. It's just crazy. You said, who knows with the weathermen and all that. I mean, they could be wrong by 25 degrees and you wouldn't even know it because it's so cold outside.
They're wrong. I mean, again, I apologize if you're a weather person, but the other day we got up here by me. I got close to 7 inches of snow. The day before they told me a half to an inch.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, and now you're talking temperatures, but you kind of tell me a little fib about the snowfall, and now you tell me, it's going to be minus 40. Well, why do you have to be right?
When it's cold? The worst
I wish
of
you
the
would have
two.
been wrong on the snowfall or right on the snowfall and wrong on the temperature. But again, it's cold.
Yeah, yikes. Well, we didn't really have a ton planned for this week. I'm sure that in the coming probably 2 weeks, we'll start getting a lot of the like total deer harvest numbers and just take a look at some of the crossbow versus compound bow versus gun, and you know how that split is being divvied up.
Right.
It's always interesting to look at that every year, just because we're getting so much information on that, but it's rapidly changing. We were getting a lot of that like kind of preview thing, just as they were updating after gun season, and then they were updating after like the holidays and the holiday hunt and just some of that stuff. So, excuse me.
Well, I did see something. I'll let you get back to that when you catch your breath. I saw some things. It was like a key regional and national updates, and it was updated on January of 26. But when they update it, they don't remove things that have been already established.
Okay.
For instance, when you look at the January 26 updates on the key regionals, Wisconsin still is, the DNR is still preparing for a 2024 spring turkey, the elk hunt, et cetera. But what I did notice was, and it because of the fact that you are so involved with your other businesses and trying to advertise, and I know things that you do with your mom and other businesses with your drone and your drone work, and even us talking as we went down to the ATA, you know, your cameras and how you want to upgrade the thermals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It said that the Department of Natural Resources has restricted now the use of advanced technology in Illinois. And I was like, I wonder what this means. I just thought drones. I didn't know. But what it does is it says it includes drones, e-bikes, and AI for hunting to encourage ethical practices. Again, I know that, and I'm wondering if the use of drones is sort of what's been passed everywhere. Can you fly over a field? Because remember we talked to the guys that recovered.
Yeah.
They do recovery, and I remember that the drone went up and you couldn't use it for a thermal detection and then go out and harvest that animal. I thought there was some rule. So maybe this is a step behind, and maybe I'm looking too deep into it, and maybe the drones is strictly for hunting. Like, can I send that drone over Paul's food plot? Hey, there's a big buck over there. Hey, let's sneak over to the north end, the east end, the west end. Maybe it's that. I'm kind of wondering what the restrictions are on the drones, but you know what? In the e-bikes as well.
Yeah.
I understand if you have maybe a four-wheeler, you want to reduce some of those, the noises and stuff, but the e-bikes were supposed to be, you know, beneficial to all.
The other option, so that it was not loud, it was not invasive, it was not a side-by-side or like a four-wheeled machine.
Right, and if you're worried about carbon footprints or anything like that, you know, obviously, you know my opinion. But still, an e-bike was the way to go, and it was just kind of, is that restricted? I don't know. Would they rather have somebody pedal a bike into public land? I mean, I don't. I
guess who's going to do that though?
Exactly. Today.
So I did just see this very quickly here. Key prohibited technologies and practices. Drones unlawful for taking, pursuing, harassing, or recovering any wild birds or mammals, except for limited federal exceptions for waterfowl.
Jeez.
So that's interesting.
Is that federal, or is that Illinois?
Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah, so this is just specifically Illinois.
So they can't.
Yeah. And then I think this may be the big differentiator. E-bikes not allowed on Illinois DNR land for hunting access. So private lands is fine.
Right.
But it just says for Illinois Department of Natural Resources owned lands, so any of your public lands, you can't use them there.
And that's weird because when we were in Galena, we hunted that, you know, that right on the Mississippi over there. There was a lot of ice age trails. I don't know the exact names of them, but there were access. Obviously, it was public.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily for that. I just thought maybe once it got to a certain time, an e-bike would they having issues with pedestrians, with other bikers. You know, miles, was an e-bike going 25, 28 miles an hour?
Right.
Was it putting somebody in it? Something had to
Maybe they had a bunch of injuries with it or something. Who knows what came up with that.
Crazy.
Okay, so e-bikes, we talked about that. And then this I'm at least like, I know enough to be dangerous with AI, but it says artificial intelligence, use of AI for reviewing laws or aiding hunting is discouraged by the Illinois DNR, emphasizing the need to know wildlife code directly.
So don't use AI as a law state, let's just say, quote unquote,
Sure.
the law. AI could be right, could be wrong, could be indifferent. Interpretations need to be straight out of the Illinois DNR, rep bag or whatever.
Yeah,
like that,
don't use that to interpret laws
correct.
and some of that stuff. Okay, so
that
I
makes
get
sense,
that.
yeah.
And then certain firearms, while some new center fire rifles were permitted for deer starting in 2023, restrictions exist, and the Protect Illinois Communities Act limits certain assault-style weapons on public land unless exempt under the Wildlife Code.
Yeah.
So
it's shocker. I mean, you got to figure Illinois would be right there with something like that.
Yeah. Why the restrictions? Fair chase and ethics. The primary reason is to uphold the traditional hunting ethic of quote-unquote fair chase, ensuring a level playing field and ethical standards, according to the IDNR director, Jed Whitchurch. Enforcement, Illinois Conservation Police actively monitor for violations with potential seizures of equipment used unlawfully. Hunters are strongly encouraged by the IDNR to review the Illinois Wildlife Code and understand all the current regulations before heading out. I mean, I don't know that is really a surprise as to what their statement is. It's unfortunate because I know there's a lot of people that feel one way or another. I mean, I feel like there's not a lot of people that are just gray area on using drone technology, but it's unfortunate that in so many situations, like say you have 1,000 acres that you're hunting, what if you are trying to recover an animal that you've harvested? It just helps you cover that ground so much faster.
Right. So if you're talking ethics, I believe that would be the most ethical way to retrieve.
Right, unless you know exactly where that deer died, why wouldn't you want to offer that? And a lot of people, the comeback for that, the devil's advocate of that is, well, it's not outdoorsmanship, or like it's not being an outdoorsman or outdoorswoman without using all of those essentials, tracking blood, following the trail, doing all of that stuff. Okay, but if you've already shot the animal, do everything you can to be able to recover it. Is at least my opinion on it.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you on that. I don't understand why that. I can understand, restricting if you're using it for your advantage. Obviously.
Well, yeah, if you fly it at 3 o'clock in the morning before you go to your tree stand. Oh, yeah, are there deer out there? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to go sit today. Exactly. There's not any deer out there. That is garbage.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
But I think in the recovery aspect, I think that, I would just be very curious to hear somebody's opinion on that is anti-drone, and like why. Why is that such a big issue for some people?
Yeah, I don't understand that. But again, it is what it is. It seems like if someone wants something to bitch about, they'll bitch about it.
They'll find a way to bitch. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, another big update that we had just had. I just got a message from a buddy of mine, Greg Tubbs from the OKS Fisher podcast. Breaking: Wisconsin Assembly passes Assembly Bill 315 and 612, the Knowles-Nelson Stewardship Reauthorization. And what that is the Wisconsin Assembly passed the Assembly bill, which would reauthorize Knowles-Nelson Stewardship Program, the state's most important funding tool for protecting parks, trails, forests, wildlife, habitat, and outdoor recreation. And some of the things to note with that, bill reauthorizes Knowles-Nelson until 2028, so we've got another 2-year full extension on that. Program funded at $13.25 million a year, but that was reduced from $33 million. And then set aside funding for nonprofit conservation organizations. It's a big step forward, but it's not the finish line. The bill now moves to the state Senate. Contact your senators, yada, yada, yada. I'm probably not going to contact my senator, but I do think that everything that I've heard from working, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of outdoor brands, people who are well connected to the DNR, and people who are, maybe it's an archery shop or it's a gun range or whatever it is, I know for a fact that those dollars are not being used to the full extent of what they should be. Like to the tune of maybe 80% is not being used. So I know for a fact that there's a huge portion of those dollars that are set aside, whether that's the Pittman Robertson money or it's this Knowles Nelson proposal that they're looking at, which maybe that's why the dollars are being cut to save some money, but also only what's actually being used. Or like they know we have X number of requests that we can fulfill all of them, plus have like a little slush fund at $13.5 million instead of $33 million. Because that money, and I think you know this, but just for anybody that doesn't, that money goes, this specifically for Knowles Nelson, this actually goes to like helping with the parks. So like maintenance, payroll, whatever they need to do for all of those. And then the Pittman Robertson Act goes back to also for habitats, but it goes back to different things like, an example, McMiller Sports Center, Shooting Center in Eagle, they had submitted a request and said, we have all of this data that we serve a larger community. We know exactly where people are coming from. We have license plate readers, so we can give you the exact information of how far people are traveling to come to us, and that 70% of our population and our patrons come from outside of the state of Wisconsin.
Oh.
So they know all of those, and maybe it's not 70%, but it's a big number that comes from outside of the state of Wisconsin. They can take that then to the DNR and say, hey, we're doing this for the community, but we need to upgrade our facilities. We're requesting a grant for $2 million. This is everything that we want to do. This is where we intend to use it. This is what our estimates are for that. And they have to go through all of that, but you can apply for a grant if you are something in the outdoor community, hunting. Maybe you have an archery range or it's a public park or whatever that does something with archery. You can request that money, and people just aren't doing it. So we're sitting on all of this money, and it's not going anywhere.
Well, that's kind of a slippery slope, like you just said. No, don't get me wrong. The facility has all this data and stuff.
Right.
But that money is coming from the license I just purchased.
Right.
I purchased this. You're getting a grant. I get it. It's helping, but it's helping a private entity. Mm-hmm. So I think when Kaz was on, when Kaz was part of that, the program, and we had him a lot, and he would talk about things where they were taking that money and from the hunters and from the licenses and from the outdoors people, and they were using it to buy 43 acres along Lake Mendota, and all they would do is make prairie grass, no hunting. You could just walk through it.
Right.
Seriously, remember it was the money is being produced by hunters and fishermen and outdoors people, but it's getting applied to the non-outdoor, where the money is coming from. So in this situation, I like the fact that a grant is, but then you can't have a fee to. There's a slippery.
Right.
I'm going to give you $2 million. We have $33 million. We want to cut it down to 13. You want a $5 million grant because you have all this data and everything, but you're still a private entity.
Yeah.
There's got to be something there that you have to open up to the public. You can't just take public funds to a private entity.
Right.
I believe. I think that's unfair. If they want to do that to help the Teresa Marsh, or they want to help clean out
maybe
the Wolf
stocking,
River, stocking, yes,
pond
or do something to that effect. I just think that's a slippery slope when you take public funds, and obviously in this time and day and age, we've seen and heard so many things about fraud and stuff that I'd hate to see somebody bring up a comment about the public funds that we contribute to, but I can't access it because I'm not a member out there.
Right.
I don't want to pay this, or I don't want to do that. So
I
think that's tough. But then again, it is what it is, and I know that's why they're laying it down.
Yeah. I wonder, what is the math on that? I just had a great idea.
As you look that up, I did remember this too, and it just did pop up for me. Remember, today is that big hearing for the gray wolf population. It's January 23rd, yeah. I believe that's up in Madison. And so, again, the key hearing is today, and they're discussing requiring the DNR to set a specific statewide, and they're starting to, they actually want a wolf population goal. And that's currently supposedly estimated at about 1,200, But the debates on the wolf population are so far between. Some people have this and some people have that.
Right.
It's so hard. And obviously we don't have, or the Wisconsin DNR doesn't have the funds to collar every single wolf. It's only an estimate.
Yeah.
But the estimates range so much from so many different people. But again, that hearing is today. I don't know what the outcome will be. Obviously we'll find out.
Yeah.
Will we find out on Monday, Tuesday, or will it be something delayed as the process takes place? But again, that's a key hearing today up in Madison.
Yeah. Boy, Madison's been pretty active just with outdoor and conservation and lobbying and just a lot of that stuff. I mean, I feel like it was just last week that there was, it was while we were in Indy for the ATA, that they had an outdoorsman woman lobbying day at the Capitol, and there were just a number of different topics that they wanted to talk about, but it was the backcountry hunters and anglers that the Wisconsin division that kind of organized that and was trying to get people to rally and go there and make their voice heard. So
in the legislative board, as you know, one side wants the lowest level possible,
right,
like that 1,200 number. I'm sure there's people on one side who say, let's keep the wolf population at 1,000.
Yeah. And
then the advocates are for the gray wolf, and the population say, let's keep the population at 4,000.
Yeah.
Or 3,000. And
it's got to be bigger so that they can ensure to find mates.
Knowing that there's only this amount, so then the harvest rate goes to one animal open season compared to getting it down to control the herd. I mean, again, the wolf population, regardless of what side you stand on, it has increased, and it does take away a lot of livestock, and it is harmful to people of all sorts.
Yeah. Well, and it's different for everybody, right? I mean, it doesn't impact us here, but maybe a farmer in Eau Claire County is like, well, I've lost half my herd because we have a major population here.
And if that's my life, that's my livelihood. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love wildlife too, but if they start eating my chickens here,
it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, there's going to be a problem. It is. And, you can't do that if it's not necessarily that's my livelihood, but you know what, the girls that, they like that. They like the rural farming. They like the hobby farm type atmosphere, and that's what we do. So, again, you never know when it's actually affecting you the most.
Yeah.
But obviously, we'll see what that
and it's different for everybody.
And see what the
I mean, it's just, it's a different story depending on what part of the state you're in.
Correct.
I mean, that northern third where they started to make some of those drastic changes with like a no doe. Is that what it was? It was like no doe harvest.
Buck only.
Buck only for 3 years because they're trying to help encourage the growth of the population up there, but they're
what those predators are doing is they're just pushing it down south, pushing it down to the farmland, and down in the city areas, and then just eventual amount of time before.
That's why we have all the deer down here now.
Exactly. But it's funny you said that because I just thought of another topic. Remember when we were talking about black bears and deer fawns and stuff like that? And I remember somebody telling me that a bear is the only animal predator or animal / predator that can actually smell a deer fawn or fawn birth of a deer or something like that. And it could be right or could be wrong, but I think that the fawn population the deer population was affected, yes, up north by a lot of wolves, but also by bear, because when I heard that, I was like, that was kind of surprising. I always thought wolves and coyotes and stuff like that could get them, but somebody had always told me that the bear has some distinct ability to smell new birth.
So this is saying, yes, bears can smell deer fawns, even though fawns have very little scent, thanks to a bear's incredibly powerful nose that can detect them, often finding them by the scent of the birthing process or the fawn's very faint odor, making them easy prey in their hiding spots. While fawns rely on camouflage and staying still, bears use their exceptional sense of smell, much better than a bloodhound, so that's impressive, to locate these vulnerable young deer in bedding areas during the spring and early summer. Wow.
So and then it goes back to that, like you just said, with being a buck only area. I know that they were giving out ag tags for black bear as well. At least in that Ladysmith, Tony, Holcomb area. Yeah. Maybe as far north, maybe up to the Hayward area or west to Eau Claire or southwest to Eau Claire from Holcomb. But a lot of ag tags were those farmers obviously were losing a lot of crop where they say one bear can sit in a spot. And he said, I remember going up there, and he said, not only do they kill the deer and eat the deer, but one bear will lay in my field and eat 1,500 pounds of corn. So when we would get those egg tags,
That's so much.
So when we get those egg tags, it was like, sorry, I respect your bow hunters. We had one guy come up there and he had used the old recurve and it was like, he goes, the egg tags, if you got a regular tag, you can hunt whatever you want, whatever weapon specific you can go. But if you're going to use an egg tag, he goes, two requirements. You have to shoot anything. You have to harvest a bear. I don't care if it's a 50-pound cub or the average black bear in the state of Wisconsin is 125 pounds. Or you're waiting. You can't sit around and wait for that 300-pound bear. You have to shoot something, and you have to use a gun.
A firearm.
You have to use a firearm. We need to reduce the numbers.
I remember we were talking about that, which, to be fair, it's their livelihood. So, it's not there to say, oh, yeah, I was able to, it's such a big deal to shoot an animal with a bow.
Right.
Okay, well, that's not what we're doing here. We're
not in this
trying
with
to,
the egg tags. Exactly.
So, which is exactly how, it's like when I come out here, especially the first part of this year, when I came out here and I was hunting, it's like, it doesn't matter if you want to shoot a big doe or not. This isn't for social media. This is because we have too many deer out here. So whatever you see, and we had so many messages going back and forth with that where it was like, I don't know, shoot, I can't shoot that one. Or that one time I was in the trail camera picture behind that deer. I'm like, yeah, but it's got nubs. So, so you have to be careful with that, at least for deer. But, with, shooting those bears, I mean, just go do it, fill your tag and
get it, because those farmers, if you the program, I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, the egg tags that are given out only get given back if you do turn them in. So my assumption was, let's just say a farmer has 10 egg tags for black bear. If he doesn't turn any in, does he get 10 again? Or if I turn in 10, do I get 15 next year for my, you have to take some, because their stipulation was always, you have to harvest something.
Right.
These tags have to be registered. I have to get something into the state so they understand that I'm not just applying for egg tags that I can sell. And I believe with the egg tag program, you don't have to, obviously, when you sign up December 10th and you look for your preference point or your kill tag or your harvest tag, I think with the egg tags, you can, up until I thought it was October 31st, you can I think all you have to do is buy a Class B tag license, which I believe is, I'll make up a number, $15 to $25.
Sure.
That gives you the right to use an egg tag. Obviously, you didn't know if you were getting an egg tag, in December of the prior year.
Yeah.
Do I know right now, when we just sent in, am I going to get an egg tag this fall? I don't know. So I believe that even if you get a preference point, there is an over-the-counter situation you can to use an egg tag for harvest.
Yeah, interesting. And there's so many different things that, unless you're a landowner, that you don't really have to think about, or unless you're a farmer, you don't really have to think about. But, there's just so many people out there with a need to be able to help. And I think that's why a lot of people have resorted to door knocking and looking for, permissions on places, and that there's a good success rate with that, because you never know who you're going to knock on. And all of a sudden they're like, you know what, we keep losing crops because deer are out here and they eat through our bean field or whatever it is. Come out and shoot 2 or 3 deer.
I think getting permission land, you don't necessarily have to have it. I've just talked to a bunch of people this past week. You don't necessarily have to have that lease. You don't necessarily have to own that big parcel of property. Permission land is very good. You take care of it, you keep it clean, and you respect it as your own. Permission land is granted. You do have to knock on it. You may 8 doors slammed in your face. Or, hey, I got grandchildren, but you find that one, and permission land is huge, especially when you find somebody in a vulnerable situation.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting time of the year. If we were big anglers, we'd be chomping at the bit right now, because there's probably ice galore everywhere, and if there isn't, by tomorrow morning there will be. But I don't know. I keep seeing a lot of people over at the lakes, and there's a lot of people out there, and I'm like, man, I still remain true to, I will freeze for deer, but I don't like freezing for fish. It's not as much fun for me.
You know, and I've seen them, and I have a bunch of buddies that do fish, and and they're out there. Excuse me, they're out in Winnebago right now, and you know what? Some of those, I mean, they're heated up pretty good.
Yeah,
they're heated up pretty good. And one of my buddies just got one of those double. Oh gosh, it's a red and black. I totally forget. I'm gonna say like a. Someone can correct me. It's like a DP8 Pro or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's huge. It's huge. And when he bought it. He literally, so we go pick it up, right? We go over there, we grab it. It's a little bit bigger, doesn't fit in the back of his bed. But they gave, when you buy this, and you know this a lot more than I did, because I'm kind of unaware of how ice fishing all takes place.
Sure.
They give you a carry bag.
Okay.
If you've seen those, you know those floor mats that we've seen in gyms that put together.
Yep.
So they literally, in this shanty that he got, is all well insulated.
Yeah.
And the heat, obviously. But they actually give him floor mats that you piece together like the teeth, like you do on in a weight room or something. And it's black. And you lay it out however you want. And you just lay your hole wherever. You just pull that one. I'm going to say, let's just say they're 2 feet or 2 by 2. They're 2 by 2. And he just doesn't put one in, and that's where they drill a hole. And it's like he's got a picture in there, and it's freezing. I just saw it yesterday. It's freezing, and like he's got his t-shirt on.
T-shirt, yeah.
I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? I go, you ain't making snow angels, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. But, you get out of the wind at least, and there's 25 degrees of temperature that, today that you wouldn't have to worry about. But
they were pounding the perch, and they were inside the tent, and they also had some tip-ups up. And I don't know what the rule is, how many, tip-ups you can have and jigs and stuff like that. But I did see one picture of one of our buddies. He took a picture of him. He had to run out and check the tip up.
Yeah.
So that was spinning, and he had to quick get dressed, and he had to run out there. And
because you're not covered anymore, and you forget how freaking cold it is.
Yeah.
I just thought of that yesterday when I was letting the dogs out. That, what a life for dogs that they have no idea what they're going to get hit in the face with when they open that door and they go outside. But like we do. So it's like just a surprise for them every single time we let them out. And the girls, Hattie, our retriever, she is a cold weather dog. She'll be out there. She'll lay in the snow. She'll be out there forever. Uh-huh. And even she went out this morning and was like, I don't even want to pee. I'll just come back inside.
Hell no, Dad.
Hell no, Dad. We're not doing that today.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah. You were talking about Winnebago. So the sturgeon season's coming up. Typically mid-February, usually around Valentine's Day, and can run for up to 16 days. So that's like Lake Winnebago, Poygan, Winneconne, Butte des Morts. And that's the spear fishing season. Right. So that's always kind of an interesting thing. It's like the closest thing like to relating to the wolf hunt, because it's like they take X number and then they shut it down. Right. And isn't it like usually a couple hours?
Well,
or like a day?
But they'll shut it. Yeah, they'll shut it down right away. Usually it runs more than that.
Okay.
But it's funny when we used to when I had the boat up at the marina,
right?
And you'd see all those sturgeon shanties. You don't. Sometimes when you drive up there or you drive on a back road or something, and you see these like, they look like deer blinds. And you think, oh, man, deer blind. No, they're up there. And these guys have them so set up where they'll go out there and they'll put chainsaw, they'll open it up, and the tridents, and they'll spear them. But it can get cut off at any time, I believe.
Right.
So the DNR can all of a sudden basically just say, I don't know if it's an all points bulletin or it's a shout out on a site that you have to have.
Yeah.
But it'll tell you, okay, the last sturgeon was harvested and we are done. The season is now concluded.
Right.
And you have to stop.
I wonder how they do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody has to.
They just put a press release out, but you could easily say, "Oh yeah, I didn't see it." Yeah. Chuck your spear, and all of a sudden, then you're in trouble.
never
Well, it's
done
just
it.
like the wolf hunt was chaos like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
You know?
All of a sudden, yeah. I've never actually sat out there. Been out to the Sturgeon
Yeah,
Shack,
yeah.
but I never actually sat out there long enough for them to do it. But hearing about how it comes through the ice and you see shadows coming through it.
Yeah.
And guys have been telling stories about how it looks like a great white whale shark coming through.
Because they're
and
so big.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you see this.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get ready and you gotta go. And it's kind of a crazy thing up there, and it does. It's like opening day deer hunting around here.
It's a
And
big
if
deal.
you've ever been up in that Oshkosh area, the Winnebago, Lake Butamore, stuff like that, you find that whole river connection, and those are out there, and
it's insane to me that
They're
people
like
are taking
dinosaurs. They're like dinosaurs.
that people are taking chainsaws out there and
yeah.
cutting through the ice, and I know that's how they harvest it, or they got the big long ice saw and all that stuff. But just to cut a slab of ice out, it's just I don't know. It's still it's still bizarre.
We cut that one out, and we dragged it out, and then you drag it off to the side, and they then plowed it out, so the snow was removed around the shanty. So the shanty was actually, it was big. It was, I'm gonna make up a number. Let's just say a 5x10 trailer.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever seen how they worked. I didn't know this, so I'm new to it. I was new to it. They drive out there, and they crank it, like the wheels come up. So that shanty literally drops to the ice.
Right.
And then when they're done, they pack it all up. They crank those, boom, 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 boom. It raises up your building per se, and now you just pull off away. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And what I did with one of my buddies, Johnny, we used that theory, and we tried to build like a portable duck blind. And we took it out to Grandma's farm.
Okay.
The geese would come in when, we'd set it up there. So we tried to move it around like that. And again, it worked. It was okay. But the permanent blind that we have out in that field is the one we still use. But again, very creative, because these shanties, these sturgeon shanties, as people are listening, they know that it's huge.
It's like a mobile home on the ice.
Yeah, and everybody has one. Everybody has one. You go up, you come up that other side by TJ's and Blank's Supper Club, or up on that side, right on the west coast of the Bago, you'll see to the other side, the non-water side, you'll see homes and stuff that just have, in yards that just have like multiples, 10, 15 of them, and people store them there.
Jesus. Yeah, it's just a different world. I get it. You can be warm inside the clamshell or inside your mobile home that you have out there. Yeah. I don't know. But it is cool. It's just another one of those things that we are so fortunate to have in the state of Wisconsin. It's just the same thing as October. Like, what do you even do? Do I want to go muskie fishing? Do I want to go deer hunting? Do I want to shoot birds? Do I want to whatever? It's just another outlet for people passionate about ice fishing to have something else to go after.
So much
super cool.
It is super, super cool, because there's so much to do. Whatever your thrill is, you should be able to find it. And that's what's so exciting. That's what's so great about living up here in Wisconsin. You can do whatever you want to do. Like you said, you can go sturgeon. You can still hunt rabbits. We can rabbit hunt till the last weekend in February.
Yeah.
You can do something. There's crow hunts. There's stuff to do, to get together, to get that hunting, that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether you believe in it or not, it gives somebody the opportunity to get together and gather.
And you never know what that is that trips somebody's trigger that they're going to be super excited about, and maybe that just keeps them coming back.
Have you ever tried to do a crow hunt?
I've not. No.
I did a crow hunt once. I thought it'd be easy. So it's not. So crows. I learned that crows send out like a scout bird.
Okay.
So you'll find them in a tree.
Yeah, I just saw like 4 of them before.
Yeah. But if not, they send out a scout bird. And how do you think that scout bird? That scout bird gets thumped with a couple lead pellets.
And then the rest of them don't show up.
Hey, let's go the other way. It's like, somebody harvested that. Someone's got a trick on how to do it, and I don't know it. We just walked around. We didn't bait. We had guys calling, and you hide in a pine tree and call. And I don't know if it's a distress of a rabbit or what it was, but it's actually a crow call that you can pick up.
Interesting.
And I've done it once, and I did not harvest a crow. But I went back and had a couple cocktails, and it was really nice at the place. People bring in the sausage and venison and all kinds of beef sticks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So have a couple beers and talk about it, and the winners, just like any other hunt, rabbit hunts and stuff like that. So again, it's nice.
Speaking of hunts, so we were supposed to do this pheasant hunt tomorrow.
Oh, yeah,
we are not doing it.
That's right.
Well, I called my dad earlier in the week, and I'm like, how can they, if it's going to be -5 degrees even, how can they send dogs out in that weather? Like, you can put booties on them, and you can put an insulated vest on them.
Right.
And I get it. They're tough, and if they're moving around, they're, circulating blood. It's not safe to be outside for that long.
No, those paw pads.
So I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea. And I'm not trying to be a wimp to get out of it. I just really don't think it would be fun for any of us.
I don't think so.
It's supposed to be like -15 real feel tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no.
Let's maybe just sit inside tomorrow.
and do it next weekend.
Yeah, right. So we'll probably reschedule for like end of February, maybe early March, something like that. But we'll get it on the books and kind of go from there. So I was gonna just show you this picture. So I've got a good buddy of mine works for the railroad up in Eau Claire, and who's a big time hunter, and he sends me a snap this morning that it is so cold outside that railroad tracks are snapping.
Oh,
that is a railroad track. So it's not the ties,
my.
It's the actual steel iron beam, whatever, that they run on.
Wow.
That's how bad it is. Probably because it's contracting or it's expanding or whatever it's doing. He worked for the railroad, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty common nowadays.
Really?
I'm like, that sounds like a serious problem. But
oh, man. I see that. You show me that. I did know that. Do you know that sometimes trees with sap in them and stuff like that, you see that? It's so cold, it'll crack them open. It not necessarily will kill them, sort of like a wee hinge cut, but it'll crack a tree. And again, it won't kill it.
Yeah.
Because whatever moisture was in there, it just got too cold.
Right.
And it breaks it. The only fault is, or the problem is when that crack is exposed, come spring, now bugs, infestation can get in there. So you always, you look at, my tree cracked or got hit by lightning. Oh, yeah, that's great. The tree doesn't die. But eventually it opens up, the doors open now for infestation.
Have you had any trees explode out here yet?
Yeah,
that's like the big thing now, that like trees are exploding.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell it was? Yeah.
Well, and of course people hear that and they're like, it's going to be like a big combustion, like somebody's going to like throw a grenade out there and the trees are going to blow.
It is. But I didn't know that. I always thought when they crack, they died, but they don't necessarily die.
Yeah.
They'll survive, but it just opens up for infection.
Yeah. Here we are again, 48 minutes. So I think that's probably enough. I don't know if you got anything else you want to jump into, but I think this is a good one. My toes are cold. I feel like I need toe warmers.
I know.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Oh, man. Well, good. All right. Well, here we go. Another week of the show is done. And, I keep saying it every week, and maybe I'll stop saying it until we actually have some big announcements. But we've got a lot in the works for this year. If you know somebody that would like to be on, or if you would like to be on as a guest, feel free to reach out to me. Just DM me at Wisco Bow Hunting. And we can kind of work through what that would look like, figure out a schedule, get you on the show, tell whatever stories you got. We'll talk to anybody, talk about anything. You can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio app. And for Paul Wagner, I'm Eric Tasker. It's been another episode. I think we're at 210 now. It's a lot. It's a lot of talking between me and you.
Absolutely nothing out of it.
Yeah. So, Well, good. All right, another one in the books, and stay warm out there, everybody. It's not pleasant right now.
Be careful.
So.
Be careful out there, especially if you go out there for a long period of time. Be careful. Make sure you're bundled up pretty good.
Yeah. All right, there we have it. We'll talk to you next week.